Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, one and all. As you can see, we are back in Clubhouse 5, the best sports bar in London,
100%.
just near Chinatown, off Soho. Zach Jalab, Doogie Critchley have joined me, and it has been a blockbuster morning. We're shooting this Thursday morning, so the 10th of August, 11 o'clock in the morning it is right now. Harry Kane, the news has just broken that Tottenham have accepted the offer. 100+ million euros.
Yeah, finally. The one that's been rumbling on for weeks now. And the big moves for English players this summer continue. You know, we've seen Bellingham, we've seen Rice, we've seen Mount, and now Kane looks to have got his move. It's not fully confirmed yet. As Joe says, we're filming this a day earlier because of some scheduling issues. But Kane, what an opportunity for him if he does go to Bayern. What a signing for Bayern. Obviously ridiculously overpriced, given the fact he's got 1 year left on his deal. But in terms of a fit and a player and a quality addition, it doesn't really get any better.
Happened quite a lot this season as well with players with 1 year left on their deal. They've gone for a lot of money. I mean, if you're a Spurs fan, it must be really tough right now because I feel like you can't begrudge him because he's done so much for you guys, obviously, and so you can't begrudge him. I do wonder whether there is a little bit of annoyance more so maybe Daniel Levy for taking this long to sort this out. The season starts in a couple of days and Spurs are now without their... by the time this video goes out, and now they're without their main striker.
We haven't got confirmation.
He might, and I feel like that would also be quite disappointing as well if he did say no. Obviously, there has been all those talks about, is Kane really as good as he can be without winning a trophy? He is, but for the general, I think, consensus in football, there is always that question mark. But yeah, look, hopefully he does it. And if he does go and join Bayern Munich, God, I think they become my second favourites to win the Champions League. That's crazy.
The team is crazy. Especially
Really
with the addition of Kim.
Musiala, Gnabry,
and
Sané, it's just crazy.
Kimmich, Goretzka.
Yeah, so we won't know throughout this episode if Kane said yes or no. So let's get a quick prediction. Does he say yes or no?
Yes.
I think he goes.
Crazy if he says no. Crazy.
So we're all thinking he goes. You guys will already know the outcome of this situation by the time this video starts, but you won't know the outcome of this video title by the time this video starts, because as you can see, we are today going to attempt to predict the Premier League team of the season coming up. And then at the end of the season, we'll see, I suppose, how many of us and who got the most right.
Yeah. Shall I start off? Shall I kick it off?
Go on, when you goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Now, I want to preempt this beforehand. I thought it'd be really boring if we just sat here and we said the consistent same ones. So we've tried to be a bit interesting with some of our shouts as well. And so in goal, I've gone for new Premier League boy, Andre Onana.
I like it.
And my kind of idea with a lot of this stuff is for a lot of these players, like for instance, maybe someone might have had Alisson or whatever that's consistently always in that team of the season. But I thought that there's an idea here where these guys have to now, in order to get back into the team of the season, they have to perform at this consistent level that they were previously and how they got in there. Whereas with Andre Onana, I think the impact he's going to have on Man United in an attacking sense, he's obviously a fantastic shot stopper. I know he's conceded that goal from the halfway line, and actually there might be a few instances where that will happen this season due to the huge change up that's gonna happen with playing Onana in goal. But I just think he's going to add so much that people are going to notice it so easily. Kind of like when Edison joined Man City or when Alisson joined Liverpool. There was such an impact straight away where people noticed the idea of having this ball-playing goalkeeper. And at Manchester United, with obviously all the media coverage that they'll be getting, I think people will notice that even more. There is also an idea as well with the team of the season that I actually think when it happens towards the end of the year, it's not the team of the season. It's normally the team of the last 4 months, 3 months, because I think it's quite like recency biased about it. And by that point, especially, Manchester United will be used to playing with someone like Onana. So any mistakes he might make or Man United might make with him in goal will happen early on in the season. I just think he's going to have such a huge impact. He is a fantastic shot stopper. That defence, whilst it was good last year.
Last year it was really good.
But they still did need David De Gea at times to make some quite crucial saves. And Onana does have that ability. I remember in pre-season, I've seen him already from that Harry Maguire mistake. I don't think it spoke about enough. The save he makes off it is fantastic. And so I think he's going to have a hugely important season. And that's why I think he'll be in the net for the team of the season.
I like the narrative shout there. By the way, you guys at home can decide who you think has the best prediction in the comments below. Maybe even submit your own predicted Premier League team of the season in the comments below. So you've gone on. Who have you gone?
I've gone with Alisson. And I actually think it's just very obvious. I'm surprised you guys don't all agree. Look, Liverpool were third for fewest shots conceded last season, but they were 12th for expected goals against. So that shows that they were conceding a lot of really high quality shots. They don't, as we film this, have a defensive midfielder in their squad.
Was he in the team this season last year?
I don't know.
No.
Alisson?
No.
Well, it's perfect timing then. Get him back in.
But you talk about having all these amazing stats and he still didn't make the team.
No, but all I'm saying is, you know, he's going to be even busier this year. I think he was 5th for saves in the Premier League last year. He was obviously had an unbelievable year. And if Liverpool are going to get into the top 4 this year, I think he's going to be exceptionally busier again. There's going to be so much opportunity for him to shine. He's clearly the best in terms of ability. And so if he performs to his level, I can't see a reason why he wouldn't be. And he's behind a defence that I think are going to have they're going to be quite busy again because of all these sales, at least in the early part of the season, before they sort out their midfield. Van Dijk, another year older, playing alongside Konate, who's injury prone, backed up by Matip and Gomez, both of which are injury prone, and Gomez is very low on confidence. I just see Liverpool, I see Alisson being exceptionally busy.
So I agree as well. I think that last season we saw, like, if it wasn't for Alisson, they would have finished much lower. But my thinking there was just like, people already expect it of Alisson. And so if he performs, like, I feel like he has to go to another level for people to maybe realise and be like, oh my God, like Alisson this season.
Yeah, I think he's been in teams of the season before, though.
Yeah, he has.
You know, he's had exceptional years. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for the last 2-3 years alongside.
Has he ever had a down period? I feel like he's always been really.
There was one
really
or two
good.
games. I remember one game against Man City where he gave the ball away to Phil Foden. So there was the
yeah,
odd
Anfield,
mistake,
yeah.
but not really, to be honest. By the way, I was also trying to find last season's PFA Team of the Year. I couldn't find it.
Oh my God. I found this so difficult. I can see Joe right now trying to search for it.
That had Nick Pope in goal.
Yeah, I feel like it had Nick Pope in goal.
I don't think they've even announced it. I looked up PFA Team of the Year and I couldn't
found
find it on
really
Wikipedia.
tough.
I couldn't find it on any
Maybe
articles.
I was looking at the wrong one.
But yeah, Alisson may have been in it, but I don't think it was announced.
it was Nick Pope. I think it was Nick Pope.
I just think for Alisson, the defence is a year older. They are going to be playing a system that they are still not quite used to with Trent tucking into the midfield.
Busy.
And without the DM.
What does this suggest? He's going to be busy.
Yeah, but can he continue to perform to that level of excellence that would effectively be like stat busting? Like it would start to make a bit of a mockery of expected goals with the goalkeeper statistics if he again blew it out the water by 10, 12 goals. Nobody really does that. Like, it would have to be the most exceptional.
Well, we haven't really seen it so far. Any dip in his ability to come off the line. Liverpool play such a high line that it feels like there's one or two, at least one-on-one every game with Liverpool, and he normally saves them, and it looks incredible. The cameras notice, the media notice, and I think everyone's going to notice.
All right, I'm going for Nick Pope again. I just think that Newcastle's defence last season was so solid, wasn't it? I think it was the second best by expected goals in the league. I think it actually chalked up to about the fourth best. I think Nick Pope had a massive part to play in that with some huge saves. And I think he's just so well suited to that structure of being a guy who doesn't have to come off his line and sweep. And he is really based on a shot stopper. Nobody's expecting Nick Pope to play 30 yards from his goal, play as a possession-based goalkeeper. He's there to shot stop. That's exactly what he'll do. I think Newcastle have got markedly better this season. And I think some level Champions League does seep into people's minds of the Premier League. And if he has a couple of good games in the Champions League and they make the quarterfinals, I think somehow that will subtly sneak into people's minds and he could be a very, very strong contender.
I think Newcastle's defence might underperform this year in terms of
because
if it is true,
if
it's true that they're going to go and play Tino Livramento on the right and then Trippier on the left, these guys are obviously going to be going much more forward, and obviously you're then going to be conceding more chances, which is when you'll be conceding more goals. Like Nick Pope is a fantastic shot stopper, but the second maybe he's being asked to play with the ball at his feet and stuff like that, I think
he's never going to be asked to do that.
But if your fullbacks are bombing on, then he will be happy to.
But I don't necessarily think that
if they are playing,
they're going to
Trippier
ever play in a
and
situation
Dan Burn,
where
then maybe
you've got
not.
inverting fullbacks and there's like massive overlaps. I think they're just going to be very, very solid, extremely hard to break down. They're not going to concede many goals, and he just guarantees making excellent saves every game. Like, he's very solid. I think.
Yes, he is. He made some fantastic saves against Chelsea.
Of all of the teams we've mentioned, Newcastle by far have the most settled backline.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the backline is going to be very, very solid. I think Onana's going to take some serious getting used to for the backline. The right back situation still isn't perfect at United. I think at Liverpool, the defensive midfield situation is going to cause massive pressure on the backline and Alisson. I just think the most settled option's Pope.
Yeah, it depends whether you want to go for the steady Eddie option
It'll
or whether
always-
you want to go for the exceptional, one-on-one
I
ability
just
or
think-
potentially the most transformative.
Because
Now-
Alisson is the best goalkeeper
Oh,
in the
yeah,
league. There's no
easily.
doubt.
But this is I wasn't trying to do
easily.
it on this. I was trying to do it on who's going to have the best season or the most
Yeah.
notable season. I think Alisson, the fact he's going to be so busy, I think makes him more likely to stand out than Pope. I'd also be amazed if they made the Champions League quarterfinals. Not because they don't have a squad that isn't
Liverpool.
No, Newcastle.
Oh, yeah. Liverpool
I
aren't even
wouldn't,
in there. Liverpool aren't
honestly.
even in there,
But
are
I
they?
just because not
St.
because their
James's
squad
Park
isn't necessarily
is going to be a
in that.
hellhole for.
But they haven't played in the
teams
Champions
to
League for 20 years. I think it is just a big ask to get used to
And-
the scheduling, the whole.
And
Is the squad deep enough in certain
this is
areas?
it.
They still don't have an elite backup left back.
Some
Dan
crap
Burns playing
teams
left back.
get to the Champions League quarterfinals.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, if there's an injury to one of the centre backs in that Newcastle squad, if there's an injury to one of the key players in that Newcastle squad, I think things
You
could
can say this
have
of
a
all of
turn.
them. If there's an injury again to Lisandro Martinez, United have massive issues. If there's an injury to Virgil van Dijk, the back line looks
But who?
all
Yeah,
over
but
the
who
place.
is? But
for
they've
Liverpool.
got a little bit better cover than Newcastle. Like if say Botman gets injured, who
And
goes
they
in?
are,
Gamba
they
can
are
just
more
drop
used to
into the centre-back
adversity as
role, I
well.
think.
They are more used to adversity. Like Newcastle haven't had to contend
Yeah.
with a serious injury to one of their key players, and I think that
Like
is
a
factor.
Bruno injury. Goodness.
Yeah.
Right.
Goodness gracious.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Let's move to the right back.
Well, you
shall we?
guys can decide.
Yes, my right back is a classic number. Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think at the
Wow,
end.
I am stunned.
Yeah, I think at the end of last season, we started to see him, and in this new role especially, we started to see him kind of get back the plaudits and people kind of going back onto his side, because there were times last year where people were very much saying, drop Trent, don't get him in this squad, or at least play him in midfield. And to be honest, with the way they're attacking nowadays, he kind of is playing in midfield. And he, honestly, towards the end of the season, he was dropping some ridiculous performances in this new Liverpool system. And if he continues like that throughout this entire season, then he, I think, is just going to easily sweep up all the plaudits. Obviously, there are the classic shouts of Kieran Trippier, of Reece James. But Reece James needs to stay fit. Kieran Trippier, how's he going to perform with so many extra games this season, like playing in the Champions League against elite competition and dealing with all these extra minutes? This is a guy that is now solidly into his 30s. Whereas Trent Alexander-Arnold has proven this time and time again. Every time he's come up against adversity, he always seems to come back. And then I just think this year in particular, there are a lot of question marks over Liverpool, especially with this midfield. And I think he can be somebody to try and guide them through. They've lost Jordan Henderson, this absolute leader for them. He is now the vice captain of Liverpool. I think he is somebody that will step up into this role of being a leader on the pitch, of being this kind of captain material. And he will definitely easily be becoming the captain in the next couple of years for sure. And so, obviously, after Virgil van Dijk, who took up the reins, I think he's going to have a fantastic season. Do I think Liverpool in general are? Maybe less so. But I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is just, he's like, the guy's going to put up some ridiculous assist numbers. He'll be scoring from outside the box, as we saw towards the end of the season. And just when he can contribute that, and his injury record is pretty decent. If he can stay fit as well, I think he's easily got it in the bag.
My one worry with him is I think he looked so good at the back end of last year alongside Fabinho, and Fabinho looked rejuvenated by that new role and that cover as well. Now it feels like Trent is going to be asked to do quite a lot in that role, which isn't just getting on the ball and making things happen, at least for the opening month. I still think it's a good pick. He's a dead cert in my fantasy football team. I think he's just someone you have to get
He's a
in.
hack.
Even
He's
though,
like a hack, essentially.
even though I don't think Liverpool will keep necessarily that many clean sheets, I just think what he can do going forward, we all know it. I think it's a solid pick.
I've gone for the player I'm surprised you didn't go for, Reece James.
El Capitano.
I think, with the new captain's responsibilities,
And under Poch as well.
under Pochettino, who has a extremely high level track record of improving fullbacks vastly as soon as he arrives at a club. Look at the work he did at Tottenham. The output he was getting out of a player like Danny Rose, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, absolutely sensational. I think the same will happen with Reece James. I think he is going to be fitter this season. He is going to be captain, and he's the most I don't see any other creative outlet at Chelsea.
No.
Who else creates? So I think everything's going to have to go through him yet again, and if that happens, then you can say Enzo. But at the moment, you've got as we sit here today, you've got Tyler Adams coming in as the DM.
Fantastic. Bring it on.
That's good.
Yeah, I think he's a good
You
player.
hate the move, mate. Just be honest.
I don't hate the move.
think it's a smart
I think
pickup.
he's a good player, but do I think he starts 38 games in Chelsea's central
No,
midfield?
I
to
don't.
get
But I
them
don't think
into
that's
the
his.
top
I don't
four?
think the
No.
idea is for him to start. Anyway, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
I can understand with Reece James.
I think
It's
I think
just
he's
the
your only
fitness issue.
creativity.
Yeah,
So
It's the fitness issue.
Has Reece
mate.
James ever started over 25 league games?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And
that's honestly a question. I'm not trying to mug him off. I have no idea. I don't think he has. I don't think he's going to play enough. Whereas
he's going to play every game he's fit. Man.
Every game
that
he's
could
fit,
be 12 games.
That's just, it hasn't been very much in recent seasons. The guy I'm going for is Ben White, who I think played 36 games last year. Featured in 38 games. Started 36. Remarkably, that was only good enough for 5th in Arsenal's squad for minutes. So that shows how consistently available their top players were last year up until the end of the season. And Reece James, fitness issues. Trent, I think it'll be Liverpool's defensive issues might come back to bite him slightly. I think Ben White was absolutely phenomenal last year.
Yeah.
I couldn't find the PFA team of the year, but I would have thought he should have been the right back.
I think he might have been.
Because he was absolutely exceptional, playing in a position that he'd never played at that level before. I think he was 7th for progressive passes completed in the entire league, above De Bruyne, above Trent, above Declan Rice. The best players in that
But
in that
if
role.
Reece James is fit,
big if though, mate. Like honestly, it's such a. If we sat here and he'd had a season,
1,200 minutes he played last season.
This is it. And if we'd sat here before and he's had a season where he's played 25 games, like it's easy to be like, cool, he could stay fit. But the problem with because
we're talking about him being the
such
best right back in the world when he's fit, though.
And I agree. Like I'm obviously not going to decline that. But when he is such a physical player, and obviously he is quite like physically built, that when he does get injured, they are ones that seem to be quite long term and seem to keep him out for a couple of months. And you see the drop off sometimes on Chelsea, like especially over the last few seasons. I think it's good that Chelsea have got Malo Gusto in to kind of play that right back role, or maybe they'll figure out a new system. But to play that position when Reece James isn't fit,
it's not as significant a drop off.
Much less of a drop off, and he was actually very impressive in pre-season so far. But we just don't have the evidence yet to suggest it. I would love it, of course. I think it just being a general fan of football, you'd love to see Reece James stay fit and be able to play that amount of games, but it's such a question mark at the moment.
I think a few of the viewers will be like, why is he suggesting Ben White when they've just signed Yuri and Timber? Will that take away from Ben White's minutes? To be honest, I don't see Ben White being dropped or changed.
No,
I thought
I
he was
agree.
that good last year. Arteta and his coaching staff absolutely love Ben White. He's so aggressive. He reads the game so well. He rarely makes mistakes. I think Timber is more of a threat for Zinchenko.
Well, he played left back again.
Yeah, but only because
in the
Zinchenko's
Shield.
injured. I
No,
think
for
Timber's
sure.
definitely going to eat some of Ben White's minutes, isn't he?
But there's
I don't know.
an
I don't
idea
know.
as well. Like we saw Rob Holding get a decent amount of minutes last year. That okay, if Timber plays right back, Ben White just drops into centre back. Like he can do that role fantastically well as well. We've also seen Ben White play DM.
Yeah.
Like if needed. Like there's enough positions on that pitch where you can feature Ben White in. And as you said, with the way Arsenal now playing Champions League football, they're going to have to rotate the squad a little bit. And resting Ben White for a Timber at right back is not a bad
Yeah,
idea.
You
Ben
also
White-
probably want to keep Saliba a bit fresher. Maybe Timber comes in occasionally for Saliba.
I feel like Doogie's definitely on the path of like who was the best player in their position last season. Really,
I'm
like,
going
me,
for
I
logic.
think Ben
I'm
White
going for
was
logic.
the best right back in the league last season.
A lot of my picks aren't like that. I just
Yeah.
don't think I could confidently say that Reece James will play enough games
I think
to do it.
Trippier got the PFA player last year.
Trippier would
I
make
think.
sense.
He was
actually.
the
I
best
take that
right
back.
back.
He was the best
he
right
was.
back. My bad. I forgot about Trippier.
Okay,
Centre back. Should we do him as a duo?
centre back duo, yeah.
I think we should do him
cool.
because we've been
cool,
going
cool.
for 20 minutes and we've only put two.
Yeah, okay, cool. So my centre back partnership is William Saliba, who I don't know if I have to really explain too much about. Like he was fantastic last year. He's going to be fantastic this year as well. And Levi Colwill. So this is
They
maybe
do like a
where
breakout
No
player
John
sometimes.
Stones.
no John Stones. And look,
In the new
maybe
role.
this is where, maybe the new role really should be a midfield role rather than a centre back role. Look, maybe I'm being a little bit biased, but I do think like Chelsea have been crying out for this guy for a long, long time.
Badiashile was great for you for the back end of the
and then he
season.
was injured for 3 months. Like there's a lot of players here that you just don't know whether they're going to be fit enough, and so it's hard to put them in their team of the season. Levi Colwill, we saw how exceptional he was under De Zerbi last year. We saw his ability to carry the ball out. He is and he's playing next to Thiago Silva this year, where he can learn all this experience from. He's somebody that just looks mega impressive. And look, if Chelsea didn't have Reece James, or if Reece James was a little bit older, I'd honestly be sitting here and being Levi Colwill could be captain in the next couple of years. He has that ability to.
He's that good.
I could happily say I think Levi Colwill will be starting for England in the Euros. I really do.
Even though Maguire's going to get those minutes at West Ham now.
Easily, mate. 100%. He's got the ability of this physical guy that can be an aerial
I'd like to
threat
see it.
as well in the box that Maguire can add to you, and can pass out the back better than
Yeah.
I think Harry Maguire can. Even though I do think Harry Maguire is good on the ball, he's rapid as well at the back. Like he's got every. If you can make the perfect centre back, or like somebody that could be the Virgil van Dijk next guy, like it is Levi Colwill, in my opinion. He's so young. This is somebody that I think we'll be seeing in PFA Team of the Years for seasons to come. over
I
the
kind of
next
agree, but I
decade.
think
It is a big
again, the
ask.
Chelsea backline without the cover from a decent defensive midfield. If that Caicedo deal didn't get done, for instance, I think it's...
And maybe I'm going, and honestly, maybe I'm going a season too early. Like, maybe I'm going a season too early where he's obviously now got to get used to playing at Chelsea and the different environment, obviously a different system, and obviously, yeah, the pressure of playing for this kind of club compared to Brighton. So maybe I have gone a season too early, but I do back him to kind of deal with that pressure and advance from it. And so it will be interesting. And like, look, if there'll be some other shouts that are also hugely acceptable. But I think I'm just kind of trying to put it out there. So that
we love Levi Cole. Yeah. I've gone for Stones and Gabriel.
Likewise.
Have you?
Have you both?
Exactly the same.
Okay, interesting.
I think Stones, with this new hybrid role, it's not a midfielder. Like he plays in that advanced position, playing out when they're in possession. But when they're out of possession, I still think he's an incredible defender, like out and out defender. Yeah. We all talk about how good he is on the ball. 70 plus passes a game, 90 plus pass accuracy. But actually, as a defender, he's so good. Like, his positioning is so strong. The partnership with Ruben Dias is fantastic. The only concern, for me, the only reason he wouldn't get in there is because of the lack of minutes. I still don't think he's played 2,000 league minutes since he's been at Manchester City.
Not since his first year.
So that would be a concern. But I just think his ability, combined with his defensive nous, for me, he is the best defender in the league.
Yeah, last year he was fantastic. Like, if anything, my more question mark would be over Gabriel. Like, I think Gabriel was fantastic.
Gabriel was better than Saliba last year for me.
You think?
I think Gabriel, across the course of the season,
I always think Gabriel's more
the better centre back.
More error prone, but I think he's better in the air and was more consistent as well across performances. Perhaps I think Saliba did have a slight dip before he got injured, which Arsenal fans love to forget about. And also Gabriel played significantly more minutes as well. I think Gabriel is kind of the key to that Arsenal backline because, well, actually less so with Timber now, but it's still good to have that. And Saliba a year older maybe. Might change. I think Stones is a solid pick, to be honest, because Walker is 33 now. I know he's looking like he's going to extend that deal. Rico Lewis will get some minutes there, but he's still only 18. He could also play in midfield a little bit. Stones feels like a dead cert at right
We
back.
are forgetting, though, this is Pep Guardiola, where whatever best centre-back happened the season before, he drops him.
Yeah.
And suddenly
he's not going to drop John Stones with this new hybrid formation.
No, I'm taking the mix, to be fair. But
left-backs then?
I wasn't convinced by any left-backs.
I've got a brand new left-back, mate.
Okay.
Easy.
Really?
Gvardiol. Gvardiol with this new
Gvardiol
system that Pep's going to play. I see him going at left back, and he'll just be elite.
And he's going to be good.
He's a monster.
But it takes time always to bed into a City side, especially for centre backs. Like,
I think Gvardiol will be okay.
He will be fantastic. But look at every player that's joined that Pep system. They've taken a season to bed in, and I don't think Gvardiol's a guarantee. Like, he's going to share minutes with Nathan Ake, who was one of the best left backs in the league last year. For sure.
You think he's gonna? I think he'll dominate it, mate. Honestly, like
nobody dominates minutes in Man City's team.
I think Gvardiol could easily do
other
that.
Than Rodri.
I think Gvardiol could easily do that if he wanted to. Like, I agree, Ake was fantastic last year, but we're talking about possibly one of the next generational best.
Yeah, but he signed Jack Grealish for 100 million euros, and it wasn't like
but it's
that
different.
was
I feel like
any
it's
pressure
different from an attacking position. Like an attacking position where there is so much to kind of go for. Like whether previously whether it was going to be Mahrez or whether it's going to be Foden.
I'd be surprised to see him start more than 25 games in the Prem.
I also think he's more likely to play at left-sided centre-back eventually as well, just to open up those passing lanes, and Ake stay at left-back, which was bringing the best out of Jack Grealish towards the end of the year as well. But I think Gvardiol's a solid pick. I went with the Stupinan. I found it really difficult at left-back. I wanted to get a Brighton player in because I think it's kind of gone under the radar that they could. I want to see Kudus through the door first, but I think they are going to push top 8 again. I think De Zerbi plays the most entertaining football to watch in the league because it's so remarkable with the talent he's given, effectively. I know everyone, Pep Guardiola, rightly so, but they spend a ridiculous amount of money on their squad. De Zerbi, it's a remarkable story, and Estupiñán, I just think he's got such a good engine, and he holds onto the ball so well effectively in dangerous areas as well. I think he's a brilliant player, and for Brighton to have got him, having replaced Cucurella, brilliant business, and he was on the books of Watford a few years ago, went on a series of loans, established himself at Villarreal, had a great first year in the Premier League, and I can see him going from strength to strength next year.
I've gone for Luke Shaw, who I think is actually the most underrated left back in Europe at this stage. I don't think he gets any plaudits, Luke Shaw. Like, he's consistently fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, he plays plenty of minutes. Last season was able to play as a centre-back at a really high standard. He can invert, he can get on the overlap, over 2.5 shot creating actions per 90. He's like 6 foot, physical enough to rock it in the air, but he's also amazing in ground duels. Tackle and interception numbers are superb. And I think United are going to have a really solid defensive structure, but I also think there'll be more license this year for a bit more free-flowing attacking football. And with the addition of Mason Mount popping up in between the lines, I think that he won't have to do as much defensive work to help out Christian Eriksen in that slot as he did last year, because Christian Eriksen got run up a lot. Yeah. So a lot of times Luke Shaw had to tuck into that area and help out.
Well, we saw obviously when Mason was at Chelsea, like him and Chilwell were always constantly working together.
I think he will
help.
He could do Luke Shaw that.
We've seen some of Luke Shaw's best stuff has always been when he's attacking. Always, like there were moments,
but
when
he's such a defender as well.
There were great times when he was considered one of the best left backs because of his attacking output. Even think that he was dominating that left flank for England as well when he was playing there. Like for a lot of these guys too, there is that idea of God, the Euros will be next summer. Like we've got to be making sure.
And I think he's going to get pushed again by Malacia, who's not ready to start. But like I think it's good to have that competition. I think he can play multiple roles. I just think he's incredibly underrated at this stage.
I think he is too. I think it's because his numbers. He's never had like an 8 to 10 assist season. I think he's only got. I think I saw on Twitter the other day. Might have been a troll, but I think he's got 19 Premier League assists in his entire
He's
career
not
for Man United. Not a huge creator, but I remember. This is a bit of a name drop, but I remember going to the Euros final, and I was on his side, about 5 seats back, and I was just spellbound by Luke Shaw's technical ability. Like
he's so good.
His weight of pass, his direction of pass, how he opens up the entire pitch for players. I think he's so underrated on the ball.
Yeah, and also United, he last season was creating so many chances. Nobody could put it in the net. Surely we can't underperform expected goals by that volume again.
He didn't have any bad injuries last year, did he? Because that's the one thing I guess consistently he's always had injury issues.
He's definitely improved his fitness record. I just think Luke Shaw is just underrated, and I think he's going to have a really good season under Erik ten Hag if he does stay fit.
Nice. Midfield.
Okay, midfielders. I think Declan Rice shoe-in for me.
I've got Declan Rice in mind.
I didn't have Declan Rice.
I've also gone for a
bit different.
I've gone for a 4-2-2, by the way. I haven't done 4-3-3.
Okay.
I've gone for a 4-2-2.
So
I've got 2 DMs, 2 attacking mids.
I've gone for Declan Rice. I just think that, his defensive output was so solid at West Ham. Then last season we saw the ball carrying added to his game. If he can get anywhere near those Xhaka numbers of last year, 7 goals, 7 assists, which I think he absolutely can in this Arsenal side, arriving late in the box with his physicality in the air, then there's every chance he's going to be, alongside Rodri, the best defensive midfielder in the league.
There's a thing for me with Declan Rice, where I've said it for a few years now, where it's always felt like the second he plays with better players, he just takes it up to another level. Yeah. And so obviously when he was doing that with England, so the idea that he's now going to be at Arsenal, this exceptional team with a great manager and this young squad, it feels like he could be doing that all season. If we see that all season, we're just going to see another level to him. I haven't got Rodri in my squad, and I know that's quite a big shock. But I felt like
he's a shoe-in.
Exactly, he is a shoe-in. But I kind of felt like
I
wanted to be a little bit interesting, and also like.
Although if Rodri performs to that level again, he's not, is he? Because he's not a shoe-in because Rodri is the best defensive midfielder in the world by a distance.
Well, that's what I meant. Rodri's a shoe-in.
Oh right, sorry, I thought you meant Rice.
Yeah. I just felt like I wanted to talk about someone else rather than just like the consistent ones all the time. And that, to be honest, if Declan Rice does have these performances where he can be exceptional, then I think it is a really interesting battle and something where maybe the goal output he'll have could be more than Rodri, and that might take him past him.
Fair enough. I went for Bruno Guimaraes. I think with Tonali arriving, I think he's going to push forward a lot more this year, and I actually think he's really good in the final. He's good at everything. Yeah, he's actually good at everything. Yeah. I mean, last year he was at 3.6 shot creating actions per 90. That was more than Gabriel Jesus. That was more than Kane. Only just less than Anthony. Like, he is very good in the final third. And I think people, as Joe was saying earlier, maybe think that Newcastle are going to drop off significantly. I think they've added a lot of depth to their squad.
I think they're really good.
Barnes is a good pickup. I think Livramento is a good pickup. Tonali, I think, was overpriced, as I said at the time. But I still think he's a very good player. Doesn't seem too happy to be there, according to Twitter videos, but we'll see. But yeah, then I also went with Martin Odegaard. I think 2.5 years in the Prem now. Was exceptional last year. I mean, 15 goals in the league. And yeah, more successful dribbles than Jack Grealish. I think he was 7th for progressive passes. Just an all-round brilliant technician. You can give him the ball in pretty much any area. I think this Arsenal side are going to get better, and I think he's going to get better.
I think Odegaard might even shout for player of the season. Like, he was exceptional last year. I've got Odegaard in my one as well. I've got Odegaard, Rice. Those are two of my Arsenal players, obviously with William Saliba as well. Have you got Odegaard or not? Oh, actually, this is interesting.
This is an interesting one here because we obviously did this before the Kane news, and I had Maddison. I think Maddison was going to have, might still have, let's not write Maddison or Spurs off at this stage, a sensational season. This is a player who's upwards of 5 shot creating actions a game. Like, huge, pretty much guarantees you 20 goal involvements. or at least across the last 2 seasons he has. And I just felt with Kane in the side, his link up with Son, Kane, Kulusevski, when Bentancur comes back, I think he's going to be potentially the signing of the summer. But if Kane leaves, I think Tottenham have got huge problems. And I think there's going to be massive pressure on Maddison to do anything. And I can see it getting a bit sticky. And I can just see the atmosphere being poisonous. So I will change Maddison for Ødegaard if Kane leaves. But I think Bruno Fernandes.
So I was a bit 50-50 with Bruno Ødegaard.
They're all great picks.
Bruno was very close for me.
I think now he's the captain. You know, we talk about Maddison being a great creator. I think Bruno probably even one stage higher.
Yeah.
If he can find that sort of form of, I think it was 2021, wasn't it, when he was 18 goals, 12 assists in the Prem, which I think is
the year before Ronaldo.
Yeah, which I think is totally possible with a number 9 who's actually going to be able to score goals, hopefully, because so many chances he created last year didn't end up in the back of the net. A more structured backline, being able to play alongside Mason Mount as well, so a bit more energy in the midfield. Maybe he doesn't have to do quite as much running as he did when he had Christian Eriksen in there. I think Bruno can put up massive numbers this season. I think he's going to be the key player for United, and if he does well and United do well, I think he's a shoe-in to get in the team of the season.
Yeah, I don't really have any arguments about that, but it was a coin toss between him and Ødegaard for me, and I went with Ødegaard.
For my final midfielder, want to include Phil Foden. After all the chat yesterday, the WhatsApp group was on fire yesterday about whether Phil Foden was going to be affected by Lucas Paqueta. What he means, where he's at in his career. He will obviously be affected, but I just think there was so much disrespect. And I saw a lot of it on Twitter as well. The guy is a 5-time Premier League winner at 23. The record for an English player is 11 with Paul Scholes. Phil Foden's potentially got 13 years left of his Premier League career to get 7 Premier League titles. It's not outside the realms of possibility that he finishes as the most decorated English player in Premier League history. I don't think
that was the argument, though. The argument was not about how good of a player he is or how decorated he is. He is the most talented player probably of that generation.
Is he the main man?
He's the most talented player potentially of that generation, and he's incredibly decorated. The issue that I had was from Phil Foden's point of view there's been so many positions that opportunities have risen in at Manchester City. I think to the Charity Shield on the weekend when, Julian Alvarez is starting almost in the 10 slot behind Haaland. We've seen Mahrez has now left. There's been left-wing players signed since he's been there in the form of Jack Grealish. The midfield role has become available. And at no stage has he been able to be the main guy in one of those roles. And I think at some stage in his career, for us to class him as, one of England's greatest players, which he absolutely had the talent to do when he broke through and probably still does, he's got to start more than 22 games in a season.
I agree. I've got no doubt he will. I think that the problem right now is you're expecting him to be the main man at the team that have probably been the best the Premier League has ever seen in the last 5 years. I'm not expecting him to be the main man.
Well,
you just said he's got to be the main man at some stage.
I'm just saying.
They've got Kevin De Bruyne, they've got Haaland, they've had Mahrez, they've got Bernardo Silva, they've got Gundogan, they've got Jack Grealish. They're signing players every summer in those areas. And I don't think that reflects badly on Foden. I think it just shows the strength of City's squad and their will to dominate every competition they go in. I think Phil Foden, when Kevin De Bruyne leaves, will eventually play as that most advanced midfielder. But for now, it's amazing for me that he can play comfortably at right wing. He played as a false 9 a few years ago. He can play on the left. He can play in 2 of the midfield zones as well. I think it's commendable what he's done. Last year, even though he had a dip last year, 15 goals and 8 assists.
Yeah, nobody's denying he's an amazing player. He's a fabulous player.
I just wouldn't be worried about the fact that he's not the main man there.
But from his perspective, do you not think you would be getting slightly miffed when Lucas Paqueta is getting linked to £80 million?
I think the Paqueta move is quite strange, to be honest, in his position. But then at the same time, they have just lost Gundogan. Bernardo Silva's
future. They've also signed Kovacic.
Yes.
And it's obviously City are amazing. I totally get that. But I just think he's good enough to be... You don't need Paqueta. They don't need Paqueta. They've got Phil Foden. He's that good.
But maybe they're worried about injury issues, right? Maybe they're worried about certain injury issues. And if one of the midfielders get injured, then they don't have... The City don't have much depth. Honestly, right now, if you look at their position, they don't have much depth.
What are we talking about?
They don't. They've got like 14 or 15 players.
Yeah, really.
In the midfield, Roger gets injured. Calvin
they're playing 3... They're playing...
Okay, is that great depth at the moment?
They signed him for £50 million. He was England's player of the year.
I think is that not Kovacic?
I
Kovacic
kind of
gets
get what
injured,
you know.
then they've got
at the
they're bringing
moment,
in
as it
80 million
stands,
pound
Cole
for Ketchup.
Palmer and James McAtee and players like that aren't that far away from having to play quite a lot of games in this City side. It's actually not as deep a squad as people imagine.
In terms of numbers, I agree, but these players are so versatile, it doesn't matter.
I agree. There's like 16 or 17 absolutely exceptional world-class players, but there's not the depth in every single position.
But that's because that's not how Pep operates. Like, the depth is built on players being able to be multifunctional. The depth means Bernardo can play on the right, he can play as a 10, he can play on the left. That is depth.
Yeah, but that's how Foden gets his minutes, right? That's how Foden plays his 22 games last season.
And that's my whole point, is that he should be not depth. He should be
which player, apart from
a first-team guarantee.
Apart from Erling Haaland, which player is? Honestly,
I think Rodri is. I think last season Jack Grealish towards the back.
Jack Grealish played one more game than him.
Yeah, but I think across the second half of the season, his numbers were absolutely probably double Phil Foden's.
Oh, I agree. Phil Foden. No one doubts that Phil Foden had a bad second half to last year. I just think people are using that bad second half to one season of his career. The first dip we've ever seen from him.
It wasn't even a dip in technical ability.
Fine, a dip in the amount of minutes he was playing or impact on a side, and they are maybe rolling him out at the moment. I think it was quite a provocative shout to put in the team of the year. I'd be surprised if he was. I just wouldn't be surprised if we saw Phil Foden become one of the 2-3 main men which everyone wants to see at City next season.
Were you not surprised on Sunday, or it was Sunday, when he was on the bench? They've sold Mahrez. Alvarez is playing as a 10.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know what his fitness is like. It doesn't particularly bother me.
Yeah, I don't know whether they're that
I was shocked. I thought as soon as Mahrez leaves, he's just going to play on that right-hand side with his left foot. The guy.
You have no idea. We've seen lots of players be, as Zach said earlier in the defence, be taken out the side quite randomly. We saw Ruben Dias be taken out the side. We saw John Stones be taken out the side.
But he was injured, Ruben Dias, wasn't he?
We've even seen Kevin De Bruyne be put on the bench at times.
Again, he was injured though, mainly.
Talking about Kevin De Bruyne, is he in your squad, Jay?
He's not just because of the injury problems.
Yeah,
but I think he's the best midfielder in the league, isn't he? So if he's fit, then he's nailed on. There's no.
But he's not in mine.
It was too boring to put
him. I've got Enzo Fernandez in mine as well. I think Enzo, for a poor Chelsea last year, was still exceptional. And the idea that possibly playing in a good Chelsea means he'll get even better. He's somebody that I think is going to be so crucial to the way Chelsea are going to play for the next 5, 6, 7 years as well. I think this campaign, it's great that even for a bad season, everyone was still like, God, Enzo looks amazing. Enzo looks amazing, which I think just speaks volumes. I think he'll be even better this season. The other midfielder I've got in this kind of 4-2-2.
Oh my God, you're still on midfield. Yeah.
Szoboszlai.
Nice.
Szoboszlai. I think he, in this kind of 10 role where he drifts out to the left for Liverpool, he's going to be involved in probably almost every single goal in some way, shape or form.
That's a big shot.
I'm taking the mick
80 goal involved.
30 goals, 30 assists.
I'm taking the mick a little bit, but he just adds so much. Like the guy last season for RB Leipzig was really, really good, and I was actually surprised this move happened this year. I thought he might say another year at Leipzig and then get this big money move. But Liverpool, credit to them, took the chance. I think a lot of teams maybe didn't quite realise that he was actually available this year. May have.
Well, I think a lot of the other teams though have
other issues,
creators they believe are potentially at a level above. Like you look at Man City with KDB and Bernardo, look at United with Bruno, you look at like.
Well, this is why
when
Chelsea could have been in for
but
Odegaard and Maddison.
But just I think him going to be working under Jurgen Klopp as well. Like again, I mentioned I don't necessarily think Liverpool will be battling for the league this year, but I still think he's going to have a fantastic year and be one of these standout players for. And I think the other thing for him is I think he's going to be a big moment player too. Yeah, a guy that in games when Liverpool needs someone to step up, I think he's going to be that. Just his cool calmness on the ball, everything about him. I think it's just somebody, and the way he plays football. I think again, like I keep mentioning these narratives. I just think the media and stuff like this all like look at towards these kind of players who are.
Oh, he'll have Coutinho moments.
Definitely,
like, exactly.
Totally
these shots from outside the box where everyone's like, "Oh my God!" Yeah,
and he takes free kicks, he takes corners. You know, he's very glamorous.
Exactly. So that's my midfield complete. Okay. And I've got 2 players left after that.
Right wing.
I didn't want to go with Salah or Saka. They're the obvious shout. I wanted to go with Moussa Diaby. I'm really excited about Moussa Diaby. I think the fee's not too bad from Bayer Leverkusen. I think people will be surprised by his speed. I think he is not far off Mudryk's speed. I think last year, Bayer Leverkusen had 3 of the 5 quickest in the Bundesliga last year, which is Jeremy Frimpong, Moussa Diaby, and Mitchell Bakker, who's now gone to Atalanta. But last year, 17 league goal contributions, the year before 25. I wouldn't be surprised if he got above 15 for Aston Villa in terms of goals and assists.
I think that'd be an amazing season.
I think it would be an amazing season, but I think he's got the talent, and he's already played for a big club in PSG. I think he's kind of gone slightly under the radar this summer. He's already been exceptional in pre-season. I think Villa, I'm tipping them to have a really good year, 6th, 7th. And I think Moussa Diaby will be a key part of that.
Yeah, I've gone for Salah, the more obvious shout. Underrated goal numbers yet again last season, wasn't it? I mean, you're pretty much guaranteeing 20 goals. Ever since he arrived at Liverpool, I think that's pretty much been the average. Big creative numbers as well last year. I think Mo Salah, now that Liverpool, well, fingers crossed, not from a Man United fan's perspective, but that Liverpool kind of can click a little bit better in forward areas. They don't have so many injury issues on the left-hand side. I think the arrival of Gakpo has also helped him out quite a lot. I think he draws a lot of attention, Gakpo. I just think Mo Salah is going to have a really good season. I think Liverpool will be battling for top 4 and there won't be such a big drop-off at the start. And if he continues at sort of 0.7, 0.8 expected goals and assists per 90, he's going to be in there. I think he probably will outscore Saka, even though Saka's going to have an amazing season.
Yeah.
He's a fabulous player. I think the goal numbers might just edge it on Salah's
I'd be amazed if Salah wasn't in.
I've got Salah in my kind of striker role, to be honest. Like, he does play in that kind of inverted forward anyway, so it was either him. To be fair, it was going to be Harry Kane if he stays, but it doesn't look like he's going to, so it's Salah.
He doesn't have Haaland.
The other striker role is Erling Haaland. I mean, we can't really. There's no point even going in on it. Like, the guy's just a ridiculous striker. Wouldn't shock me if he just broke his own record again.
The one thing that I found quite interesting, because I wanted to have something to talk about Haaland, was that the players that have previously broken the record or got close to the record have taken quite a dip the next year. So Salah, when he broke the record, got 22 the next year. Shearer, the next year, got 25. Andy Cole went from 34 to 21. So there is an element that Haaland might struggle for motivation, maybe. He kind of completed football very early on in his career, but he's so hungry for goals, he's never really taken a dip in terms of his goal scoring. I actually think of all the players mentioned, he's most likely to continue, because I just think Pep is such a amazing motivator of players, and he changes his side so much every year that there's always a new challenge.
The only thing for him that he didn't actually have last year is the injuries. Obviously, in his time at Borussia Dortmund, he did suffer some injuries, and last year Pep
he managed him really well.
He managed him really well.
He subbed off at 60 a lot.
Cotton wool. And so if he did get an injury that could keep him out for maybe 2 months or so, that might be the drop-off we see.
I think that is the big factor, though. Like, City have just got games wrapped up by 60 minutes in a way that Borussia Dortmund just
100%.
didn't have. So he just gets hooked at 60, 70 minutes. So I think, he's just a shoo-in. Like, he's just nailed on. I don't. There's the striking quality in the league behind him if Harry Kane leaves is like...
It's really not good.
It's just a shout for Ollie Watkins. I think there's a shout for Ollie Watkins. Like, he's somebody who I think under Unai Emery and this kind of new system and squad that he's built could excel.
You'd have to get close to 20 to get in the team of the year, I reckon.
I honestly think you could.
There's not very much backup behind
I think
him
with
as
the
well.
Conference League as well, and also Aston
I guess
Villa,
the Conference League is a
under
big one.
Unai Emery's kind of level when he's won a Europa League. I don't think he's ever finished in the top 4 of a competition in the domestic form.
The only other player in Europe's top 5 leagues who was in the top 10 for expected goals per 90 in the Premier League, guess who it was last year?
It is a striker only, so not a winger.
It could be a winger.
Oh, it's a winger then, isn't it? Matema.
No.
Rashford.
It was Callum Wilson. 0.84.
Wilson had a good season last year.
But I don't know whether he's going to play enough games to...
Yeah.
Because he's going to occasionally be interchanged with Isak. But I just thought that was interesting. Fair play, Callum Wilson.
Obviously Haaland. On my left wing, I was really torn. I was very close to putting Grealish. I think Grealish, again, like I said earlier, that second half of the campaign was just monstrous.
Special, wasn't
it?
An
absolute monster. And I think he's going to be a real mainstay this season in the same way we've seen Rodri become that mainstay and Haaland's going to be a mainstay. I think Grealish has just locked down that left wing slot now. So I was very tempted by him, but I've actually ended up going with Karim Matoma.
Likewise.
Do you think he's going to go? I feel like last year was obviously the breakout year. Do you think he's going to develop on that year to another level?
Yeah.
He didn't actually start a crazy amount of games. I had it
down
here.
He started like left
24
wing back
starts.
originally.
Let's not forget he started until De Zerbi took over as well.
Yeah.
He wasn't really involved.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember him being subbed on as a left wing back, and everyone was like, they've lost Cucurella, but yet again they found an incredible guy. And obviously he was incredible. Actually, he wasn't a left wing back. He was this ridiculous.
Yeah,
left
he made a
winger.
run, I think, on the first game of the season. I remember watching on Match of the Day, and I was like, "Who the hell is that?"
And I was like,
So did I. And I bought him
yeah.
into my. I drafted him.
Yeah.
I drafted him straight
Yeah,
away
yeah,
after
yeah.
that one
moment.
clip, and then I don't think he started for the next
Well,
3 weeks. And I
remember being like, oh my god,
Shocking.
he must be like 20. And he's actually like a little bit older. I was
Well, he
actually
went
quite
to
shocked-
uni,
I was
isn't he?
actually
Yeah, he's
quite
26.
shocked when he was when I saw his age. Yeah, 26.
Yeah,
27 this year.
I've gone for Matoma. I just think if he's anywhere near sort of 0.6 again, expected goals and assists, like he's gonna be.
What I also
insane
found quite
for
interesting, I was amazed by this. He had a better aerial duel win rate than Ivan Toney last year. Kind of mental.
Wow.
I know.
Timing his headers.
Probably
yeah,
because
timing.
he only
I
jumped
think
about
he
4
can.
headers.
Yeah, I think he contested,
He won
contested
3 of them,
40.
yeah.
He contested 40 and won like 19. But fair play to him.
I also had an outside shot for Isaac as well. If he can stay fit with this Newcastle squad, well, his biggest thing is fitness, but if he can stay fit, like we saw when he came back from his injury last year, he is just an exceptional talent.
That
He
assist versus
really is.
was it Everton?
Where he dribbles past like
Yeah.
7 different players.
Is nobody going to say Martinelli?
Um,
Because 15 goals last season is nuts.
It is really good.
Could
It is
be.
really good. Yeah, I'd be. I think Martinelli's a shout in there, but as I said, like for the way my squad worked out, I didn't really have any wingers apart.
That's the thing with all this. Like any of these players could be
Yeah.
in, and we probably miss out loads of players. But yeah, I just think Martinelli. I think Matoma maybe has more potential to really take his game to a new level, whereas Martinelli was so good last year that might count against.
Should we do manager as well?
Oh, nice.
I know we
hadn't
didn't
thought
think
of this.
about it in the previews, but I think we've
Okay.
got the time.
Okay, I think the thing is right is if Pep just storms the league, it's Pep Guardiola.
I don't think he's going to storm the
But
league.
if he doesn't storm the league, then I think it's a lot about it's all about these narratives of where the club was previously in that. And so like, maybe like again, if Eddie Howe can get Newcastle into the top 4 whilst also competing in the Champions League, there's a shout for him. It could also be we might see a surprise of one of the lower teams suddenly take like there is a surprise. There will be a surprise lower team that all of us will have in our like 50. Yeah, maybe Bournemouth, we'll see. But where we'll put them like 16th or 17th in our squad, and actually they finish like 9th and have been
know
really
what?
surprising.
I'm going for Vincent Kompany. Media darling, everyone loves him, and rightly so. He's a great guy. I've never met him, but he seems like a great guy. I think Burnley could finish comfortably in mid-table. I think there's a lot of teams that should be worried about the drop this year. I think the standard at the bottom of the league and the business done by teams at the bottom of the league is really quite bad in a lot of cases so far. Big 3 weeks for the likes of Everton, Wolves. I'm very worried about them. Even Nottingham Forest fans on my timeline are very concerned.
We talk about that's what I'm saying. We're talking about like so who was one of the guys that was being spoken about last year as one of the managers of the season? O'Neill.
Cooper. Oh right, and O'Neill.
And like because of the job he done. So there's like these guys like, if they can just take their team 6-7 places above, they could be within a shout.
Like if Heckingbottom is still there at the
Yeah.
end of the season.
If he's there by November, give him the gong.
Yeah. I think maybe Eric Ten Hag.
But what's the like? What's the,
You had such a mischievous look in your eye.
but
when you
what's
said
the
that.
like? Because I feel like he did do a great job in the end. Like he's obviously spent a decent amount of
what-
money.
what do you
But
think he'd
what's
have to
the
do to
increase
get-
That's the challenge for Tar.
And do you think
Yeah.
he could?
Yeah.
I think there is an argument that Manchester United can challenge for the title for sure. Do I think it will happen? No.
I don't see that happening. I think you could have a great year, but I don't see yours.
I think Arteta, if Arteta gets above 90, then he should win it.
Okay.
Because I've got to do after this my full 1 to 20, and I am still very much on the fence as to who.
Is
I'm
there not
putting
a
down as
shout
champions.
for? Is there? I'm just thinking about the other manager. Obviously, is there a shout for Poch? Like, if he does get Chelsea into the top 4,
Would be a huge achievement.
an
That would
achievement
be
definitely.
a
there?
huge
100%. I also, I did my 1 to 20 yesterday on Twitter. Kind of annoyed. I think I went a couple of days too early. If you get some of these midfielders that you're targeting, you look pretty good.
I did just see that apparently Liverpool have inquired about Caicedo whilst we're shooting this, which is
God, this
interesting.
Lavia
This is what's going to
Caicedo
happen.
messing up.
Adams and Lavia to Chelsea, Caicedo to Liverpool.
Big prediction there.
Yeah,
big
it's a big
prediction.
prediction.
We'll
Hopefully
see.
fall
By
flat-
Sunday, we might look
fall
very
flat on
silly.
your face.
Yeah, we might look very, very silly by
Yeah,
Sunday,
yeah.
but we're going to find out, aren't we?
De
All right.
Zerbi should also probably be a shout. Like the guy's
Yeah.
just a freak, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. All right, there we go. Anything else to add? All done?
No, go check out.
Yeah.
Why don't you check out Wednesday's Team Talk? It was a really entertaining
It was
episode.
really good.
Always
Edited
their
by
predictions.
James Wayne behind the camera. Yeah, it was really good fun.
Yeah. There we go. Thanks very much for watching. If you want to come down to Clubhouse 5, then yeah, it's just off of Leicester Square. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. See you later. Goodbye.